He kissed her in front of me, expecting me to cry, but instead, I smiled and handed him the divorce papers. And in that single moment, the power he thought he had over me vanished like a puff of smoke in a windstorm. And the truth is, I didn't cry, not because I didn't hurt, but because I had already cried all my tears long before that moment. In the silence of nights he never came home, in the cold bedsheets beside me that used to be warm, in the way he stopped saying my name like it meant something, like I meant something. And when he kissed her, his assistant, the one I knew in my gut he was sleeping with for the last 8 months, I didn't flinch, didn't scream, didn't fall apart, because I had already done all of that in secret, behind locked bathroom doors and lonely drives to nowhere, while pretending everything was fine. And now I was done pretending. Done saving a marriage he was actively destroying. Done sacrificing my identity just to be his wife, because the man I married wasn't the one standing in front of me arrogantly flaunting his affair in some twisted power play. No, the man I married once loved me, or at least, he was good at pretending he did, and the one in front of me had become a stranger I couldn't recognize, a manipulator, a narcissist, and I refused to let him be the one to end the story on his terms, because I had written a new ending, one where I don't beg or chase or cry, but stand tall, hand him the carefully drafted divorce papers I had prepared months in advance, and walk out without looking back. And that day wasn't the end of my life, it was the beginning. Though I didn't fully understand it yet. You see, I met James when I was just 24. Working my way through grad school and waitressing part-time at a hotel restaurant, and he was 31, charming, successful, already on the cover of local business magazines for his rising startup in tech. And he had this intoxicating confidence about him that made you feel like if he picked you out of a crowd, you must have been special. And when he started showing up more often, asking for the same table, leaving ridiculously generous tips, I'll admit it, I was swept up in the attention, in the way he looked at me like I was the most fascinating person in the world. And when he finally asked me out, I didn't hesitate, and our first date turned into a whirlwind romance. And before I knew it, I was moving into his penthouse, exchanging my tiny apartment for a view of the city skyline and dinners at 5-star restaurants. And he said all the right things. How proud he was of my dreams, how he wanted to support my career, how he admired my independence, and I believed him. God, I believed him with every fiber of my being. And when he proposed 2 years later with a ring the size of a marble and tears in his eyes, I thought I had won the lottery, not just financially, but emotionally, spiritually. Like I had found the person who would walk with me through everything. But marriage has a way of peeling back the glitter to reveal what's real. And over the years, the cracks began to show. At first, they were small things, like how he interrupted me mid-sentence when I spoke about my work, or how he'd forget promises he made, or brush off my concerns as me being too sensitive. And slowly, I started adjusting myself, dimming myself, telling myself he was just stressed, that being a CEO meant carrying the weight of the world, and I should be patient, supportive, understanding, but support turned into silence, and patience turned into erasure, until I could barely recognize myself and the man who once said he admired my mind, now treated me like a trophy to show off when it suited him, and a burden when it didn't. And when I finally built up the courage to confront him, to ask why he was always working late, or why his phone was always flipped over at dinner, he turned it around on me, said I was being paranoid, ungrateful, needy, and I started to believe him until the night I found the receipt. A hotel room charged to his business card during a trip he told me was canceled, and everything inside me froze. That night, I didn't confront him, not right away, because I knew I needed a plan. It's not a reaction, and I started documenting everything quietly, saving emails, printing receipts, talking to a lawyer who specialized in high-asset divorces, and while he thought I was busy decorating our home for the holidays, I was secretly preparing my exit because I refused to be another woman cast aside without dignity or justice. And I refused to let him think he had broken me. And so I waited, smiled when I had to, kissed him goodnight even though it made my stomach turn. And when he started bringing his assistant Sabrina to company dinners and pretending it was professional, I said nothing, just watched, counted days. Because I knew a storm was coming, and I was going to be the one who brought it. And then came the charity gala. The night he kissed her in front of me on the dance floor, in full view of dozens of people, most of whom knew we were still married. And I swear he was watching me as he did it, like he wanted to see me break, wanted to see if he could humiliate me so thoroughly I'd finally disappear quietly. But instead, I reached into my clutch, pulled out the envelope I had been carrying for 2 weeks, walked up to them, and with a calm I didn't know I had, handed him the divorce papers and said, "You'll be served by morning. Enjoy your evening," and walked out while the room fell into stunned silence. But that was only the beginning done in the months that followed. The mask he wore so well began to crack publicly see. I wasn't just walking away with dignity. I was walking away with half his empire, thanks to the prenup clause he never thought I'd enforce. The one that triggered in the event of infidelity and allowed me 50% of the company's assets. He tried to fight it, of course, dragged me through court, tried to smear my name in the press, even claimed I had abandoned the marriage. But I had receipts. I had timelines. I had everything laid out in black and white, and when the judge ruled in my favor, I walked out of that courthouse not just free, but wealthy, independent, and finally respected. Sabrina left him 3 months later, once the headlines faded. And the lifestyle changed, and James tried to reach out, sent long emails full of regret. Told me he missed us, that he had made a mistake, and I didn't respond, not once, because the woman he married is gone. And the woman who took her place no longer finds validation in being needed by someone who only values her when she's quiet. And I started over not with a new man, not with revenge, but with rebuilding who I was before I let someone else define me, and I opened a foundation for women in toxic marriages, used my settlement to fund scholarships, created something good out of something broken. Because the best revenge isn't in ruining someone back, it's in thriving without them. And if you're wondering, no, I don't regret it, not the years I lost, not the tears I shed, because those experiences didn't ruin me, they refined me. And now when I look in the mirror, I see a woman who doesn't just survive betrayal, she rewrites the ending, so let him kiss whoever he wants. I'll be too busy building the life he never believed I could have without him. End scene. Closing line delivered softly but powerfully. Sometimes the best thing a broken heart can do is beat louder.